Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reeds, and this is the review of the first episode to the long-awaited TV show that is spun off from one of my favorite movies from 2022, The Batman. Yes, it is none other than The Penguin, starring Colin Farrell, who reprises his role as Oswald Cobb. At least in the comic books, we know him as Oswald Cobblepot, also known as Oz. And this is set 1 week after the events of The Batman, and the series will explore the rise to power of Oswald Oz Cobb in Gotham City's crime underworld. And this show dropped on a Thursday, which was kind of odd. I was anticipating it coming out on a Sunday, but it dropped on a Thursday. I ain't mad at it. Got it a couple of days earlier, but all the following episodes will drop on Sunday nights, which HBO loves to do, and Sunday night is TV night, and so that makes all the sense in the world. But the premiere dropped on a Thursday, and it's all good. It's all good. It threw off my mental clock, but hey, it didn't stop me from enjoying it nonetheless. In case you've been living under a rock, your first time listening to the show, and if it is your first time listening, thank you for joining us here on the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Hopefully I'll say something today that will make you want to subscribe and download more episodes here on the channel. I really do appreciate the support. But for all of you who've been here, you know what I'm about to say. And for the first timers, here we go. I am the biggest Batman fan of all time. I love Batman. I'm looking around my office right now. I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Batman posters. I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or is it 9? I'll count that one. 9 Batman figurines on on my desk. I am a huge Batman fan. Currently wearing a Batman shirt. Wouldn't you know that? And I just love the character of Batman. And so that's not to say that I love every piece of media involving Batman. Do I need to bring up Batman and Robin, George Clooney film? Do I need to bring up Batman v Superman, the Justice League, the one, not the Zack Snyder one, but the Josh Whedon one? Batman hasn't always clicked, in media. But in 2022, when Matt Reeves decided to make a Batman film, and he went away from Ben Affleck, which upset me at the time because I thought, even though I wasn't the biggest Batman v Superman fan as far as that film, I loved Ben Affleck in that role. Even though at the time I wasn't a big fan of Justice League, I still liked Ben Affleck in the role. I just thought he needed to be in the right Batman film. And when Matt Reeves joined or signed on to do the film, and he decided to move away and cast none other than Robert Pattinson, I was kind of like, oh no, what kind of Batman movie are we going to get? And honestly, I still feel this to this day. We got the best live action Batman film ever. And there's not a film that comes near it. Yes, I love The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight is considered one of the greatest comic book movies ever made. I'm not disputing that, but it was just a good crime drama, that happened to have Batman in it. I enjoyed it. Heath Ledger, R.I.P., won an Oscar as the Joker, well deserved. But I'm, for my sensibilities, for me, loving the character, reading the comic books, watching the animated series growing up, the Batman was the closest adaptation of all of that. And so I enjoyed that. And one of the shining lights out of that film was Colin Farrell's portrayal of Oswald Cobblepot. And when they announced a TV show to come out on Max based on that character, I was a little nervous. I was a little nervous, and this is after me watching the movie. But then I thought about it. I said, okay, we're cool, because we know it's not going to have any Batman in it. Robert Pattinson isn't going to pop up on this show anytime. If he does, it will be a shock to me. But I seriously doubt that's going to happen on this show, and it really doesn't need it because this isn't the Batman. This is the Penguin. So let's roll with that. Let's rock with this underworld that's being built, and I think that adds to the Batman lore anyway. And so I slowly started to come around as far as an excitement when it comes to when it came to this show, and it was well worth the wait. This episode, as I said, dropped on HBO and on Max this past Thursday, September the 19th, and this was everything that I was expecting for this show. I will say it didn't wow me. It didn't catch me off guard. Nothing that happened in this show. It's a gritty crime drama. And this is par for the course as far as a HBO crime drama. Nothing new. There's nothing new there other than these characters that we know and love. But it's Colin Farrell. This is what you're watching this show for. Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell, when they cast him as Penguin, I was like, man, they couldn't pick nobody else. And I love Colin Farrell. But as Oswald Cobblepot, I just didn't see it. And when you saw him in the makeup and you couldn't even recognize him, I remember when my wife, after we saw the movie, because she didn't know. And so she was like, who is that played when we left who played the Penguin? I said, that was Colin Farrell. And she was just stunned silence for a little while. I guess she thought maybe he put on weight or something. No, that was prosthetics. That was a suit and whatnot. And she was just in awe, as I was, and I knew who it was. And so I know that her mind was blown. But his performance in the film was just outstanding. And it continued here. The fact that he was able to channel that character yet again and add more to it, because it's not hampered by the Batman tag, the brand of Batman, because it's going to take a lot to make an R-rated live-action Batman film. The Batman was about as close as you're going to get to an R-rated Batman film, and probably in my lifetime. I don't think we're ever going to see that. Even though if you read the comics and whatnot, there's a lot of rated R material in those comics. Not just for Batman, there's a lot of comic books that a lot of people don't realize. There's some R-rated material in those comic books. But Batman is no exception, especially in Gotham City. It's about as grimy as you can get, and this show is not hampered by the Batman brand. And so you're able to kind of push the limits, being on HBO, being on Max. And they did. We get that in the first 5 minutes when we saw Oswald. And I'm not going to spoil the whole show because I don't know the whole show, because we still got 7 more episodes to go. But a couple of points I'm going to make through here, but I'm not going to go beat by beat. The first 5 minutes where we get a murder, somebody get gunned down. Well, Oz gunned down somebody. And basically, that's the setup for the entire show. The fact that he gunned down this son of Falcone, the next boss of this family, he killed him for laughing at him. And if you read the comics growing up, that's a bugaboo for Oswald Cobblepot. They're laughing at him. He doesn't want to be made fun of. So that struck a nerve. And that was his motivation for killing the Falcone kid. And I can't think of his name, but he was the husband on The Marvelous Mrs. Mabel. He was Mr. Mabel, I guess you could say. But I like him as an actor. Can't think of his name though. But anyways, when he popped up, I'm like, okay, he's moving up here. He got a big role in the film, or in this show, I should say. And 5 minutes later, poof, he's gone. So that's what kickstarts this story, and this is the uh, uh, what's the word I'm looking for here? The wildfire that has been lit that Oswald Cobblepot has to try to put out for the remainder of this season. And especially in this first episode, this was an episode that showed how grimy, how desperate, how uh, uh, brutal even Oswald Cobblepot could be. And the matter that he got out of certain situations, I wouldn't say he was smart enough to think his way out of it. There were some things that he was smart enough to get out of, but the majority of it, he really put himself in these positions. And I think this is why I love this show so far, at least this episode so far, is because of the writing, how they put this character in these predicaments and showcase that it wasn't by happenstance. This wasn't because the universe has something against Oswald Cobblepot. No, it's because he's a screw up. He puts himself in these predicaments, and now he has to fight his way out of these predicaments. But while doing that, he's causing another problem down the way, and now he has to try to dig himself out of that hole. It's like one thing after the other, the whole domino effect of it all. And I loved Colin Farrell's performance throughout this episode, and it promises even more shenanigans to come in this season. I'm super excited. The performances, like I said, Colin Farrell touched in on that. He's amazing. Another amazing performance is from an actress who I've been a fan of forever, and and that is Kristen Milioti, who as a comedic actress. She's been in a lot of comedic roles. How I Met Your Mother. What's that show? Oh my God, it was on HBO. It was on HBO Max. Made for Love. She was on Made for Love. She was on Wolf of Wall Street, Palm Springs, which was another funny film. Her and Adam Sandler. The Resort, which is a great show on Peacock. If you haven't seen that show, check that show out. The Resort. But she's on that as a black comedy. But she's good in those type of roles. That comedic sensibility. Not here. There's nothing comedic about her performance here. She is cold, calculated, and brutal, man. I mean, she is menacing on this show. She really gave me shivers. She gave me shivers. And man, I wasn't expecting that. I was really expecting her to be kind of not so much a comic relief, but kind of lighthearted at times. It was nothing about her character that's lighthearted. I mean, from the opening scene that she comes in on, her introductory, menacing. It was just her matter of speaking, her calm demeanor is frightening. Those the ones you look. I mean, those the ones that frighten me. The ones that are just calm. People who are hysterical and just flaring about, cursing and yelling and screaming and all this other foolishness. I'm not worried about them. They don't even bother me. Those type of people. It's the ones that are calm, cool, collective. Their tone never changes. It's just par for the course with them. Those the ones that worry me because they're thinking. and this is what Kristen Milioti's character is doing. She's thinking it the whole time, trying to trip up Oswald Cobblepot here. She plays Sophie Falcone. Now, this is a character in the comics now. She is insane. She is insane in the comics. I remember reading the issue. I think it was the Long Halloween Batman Long Halloween edition, but she's known as the Hangman in the comics. But she is a psychopath, serial killer. But she plays her so cool here. It is definitely going to be fun going forward in this season, watching the back and forth between these two characters. One trying to get ahead of the other or get one up on the other. It's going to be a really, really good time for that. The rest of the characters were fine. There's one character in here. I think they created for the show. I don't recall seeing anything in the comics about this character. This homeless kid that Oswald takes under his wing, like his Robin, I guess you could say. Victor. But I don't see the. I don't understand. That's the one thing about this episode that I don't want to say I didn't like. Because it's not. The performance wasn't bad. The relationship, the chemistry with the actor who plays him and Colin Farrell was good. I just didn't see the necessity for that character, because if you think back to the movie, The Batman, Oswald Cobblepot has some henchmen. He has some men with him. So where are those men here? Because this takes place a week after the events at the end of The Batman. And I believe he still had his men with him at the end of that film. I should remember that because I just watched that movie like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, again for the 15th time. But I remember him having a crew. And so where is that crew here? And it's kind of confusing in that aspect if I'm thinking logically. But I know, we're transferring from film to television, and we're not going to bring over a lot. You're not going to get Commissioner Gordon in this show. You're not going to get Batman in this show. Catwoman and all them that was in the film, they're not going to be in this show. I'm not looking for it. If it's a cameo, it'll be a quick, and I mean blink and you miss it type cameo. Lower henchman level people like that, I think you could have spared a buck or two for that. But it is what it is. I'm not mad at it. I guess they just gonna single it into this one character, and they have a cool connection. I get what they're trying to do. It's just something I wasn't expecting, and not in a good way. I was like, why we always got to give people a sidekick? Batman didn't need Robin for a lot of his adventures, but he had him. As much as I love the character, a lot of the stories, I felt was unnecessary to have Robin alone. I'll just say that. But we'll see how this character plays out going forward. Like I said, I don't recall, unless this is something new, a new character that's in the comics now, but I don't recall a Victor Aguilar in the comic books. I gotta look that up. Probably should have looked it up before I did the show, but as it stands right now, I don't recall that character being in the comic books. But the rest of the cast kind of rounds out pretty good. Like I said, it's just one episode, and we didn't get introduced to a lot of the characters, which is another cool thing about this particular episode. Every scene had Colin Farrell in it. He was in every single scene. And I told my wife that after the episode ended. I'm like, he was in every single scene. It wasn't, normally there's a cutaway to another, the antagonist of the show, or a B plot, a subplot that's going on. No, he was in every single scene, almost in every single frame. And I'm not saying that as a negative. Let's not forget, one of the reasons why I love The Batman was because The Batman was in close to 75% of that movie. He was in every single scene. And Robert Pattinson was in the suit the entire time. I think we only got, maybe 3 scenes where he was actually, quote unquote, Bruce Wayne. But the rest of the film, he was Batman. Hence the title of the movie, The Batman. And the same thing here. And so I'm not saying it as a negative. I actually like that, and we got to see more of Colin Farrell do his thing. I'm not gonna grade it. Uh, we'll see how this go. I don't know if I'm gonna do week to week. We are gonna wait and see. We're gonna take the wait and see approach to this. As it stands right now, my mind is kind of elevating to doing the week to week review. Uh, but part of me is like, won't we wait till the end? When the season ends. Like I said, there's 8 episodes total, and so this will end in mid-November. I don't know, so I might just do it week to week. We'll see. So be on the lookout after the 29th when the next episode drops next Sunday. We'll see how that goes. I'll probably do it week to week. Actually, the more I talk about it, I'm convincing myself it'll be week to week. And so we'll be back next week to talk about episode 2. But episode 1 I feel was awesome. I can't wait. Super excited. One of the this is a catch-22. It's either you win or you lose. We get the episode early. We got it 3 days early. But that means we have to wait an extra 3 days for the next episode. so it came with a cost. But it's all good. I would love to know, what did you think of the Penguin so far? Are you enjoying the show? Do you think this is a good episode, a good launching episode into this season? Or do you want to see more series like this, of more characters, more villains? You want to see a Riddler little mini series, or not Joker. Joker has his own films and stuff. Plus, we didn't seen so many adaptations of Joker. I'm about burnt out with Joker, and that's something I thought I'll never say. Or any other characters like that. I'd like to know that as well. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for this show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget about YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel and like this video if you don't mind. Also, don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Thank you for joining me for this, not so much a review, but a recap of the premiere episode 1 of DC's HBO Max, The Penguin. Can't wait to speak to you next week when we review episode 2. Want you all to know that I love you. Continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.